playing all this drum, and I thought I'll share that with people, but boy, it got to be too much. And my vitamins kicked in, and so here I go. Should I share what we're doing today, or do you want to do that?
Well, I'm excited. I guess I'll jump in for a moment and just say that I'm very excited to have the Carltons back, Jason and Mira Carlton, just because they're not just because they're the most prolific, but also because they just do wonderful work, and I'm really excited about an ebook, new updated release of their Naked Calorie book, because I love to be able to tell people, go get this book now, and I'm not kidding. Just go get it. Go now.
I have a funny story about.
Wonderful. I love that.
I have a funny story about their book. You know, when you can put up announcements, and we thought this was a really, really important show, so we were going to boost it on our Facebook. And Google came back and refused to put it up because it had sexually explicit information. And it was a description.
Wow.
It was a description of their book, and the picture, which I think is absolutely wonderful. It's the back of this.
Wow.
But sexually explicit, I guess, because that word naked in there. They don't read their stuff, I guess. So that may go down in history. The Coltons can put it in their book that they were banned from Google Boost because of.
Wow, that's amazing. As search algorithms, you know, the power of search algorithms is they're really powerful. The tricky part about search algorithms is they're just dumb. Meaning exactly this. I'm looking at the cover of their new book, and you have the back of a woman's back. I mean, she's naked, but it's her back, her form, and the word naked calories. And so I can see how a search machine would go, oh, this could be tricky. How funny. Wow.
We should tell people that we are simultaneously broadcasting on Blog Talk Radio, and also we have a WebEx where people can watch the show. So today they will be watching some information about the book and our announcements. So if anybody wants to come to this class and they haven't gotten an invitation, just go to our site, soundhealthoptions.com, and go to radio, and they can look at both of our shows, Blog Talk Radio and Vocal Profiling Live. Last week on Vocal Profiling Live, we did this evaluation of compatibilities for royal couples and couples in the news. It is a great way to see what you want and what people might want from you. So you can download free that program. It's called Nano Voice, just on our site under downloads. And you can also watch that show by going to Happy Hour and looking at it. We also did Vocal Profiling Live. Don't know what we're going to be doing this week, but we evaluated all of the Syrian players. If any of you are interested in who's telling the truth about all of that. I should say that we are sponsored today by the Institute of Bioacoustic Biology, and we're going to be doing detox software. I think that fits into the program today. One of the questions that came in, and we have several, when they knew we were doing the show, is how important is detoxification when losing weight or looking at optimal calories? We need to also maybe talk about the keynote. You ready for that, Richard?
I'm always ready for the keynote. I'm always delighted with the information in the keynote.
You remember how we were going along in the keynote and just all of the energy was being drained, and then all of a sudden everything coming in to rebuild the body and re-energize? We thought maybe it had to do with the solstice and that kind of thing.
Yes.
Well, today, and I sent this out with little marks all through it because I wanted people to notice how things fit together, because I was just beginning to be weirded out. You probably already are because you explain about this all the time. But there are frequencies coming to our planet from outer space, and we have watched these cycles. NASA keeps track of this, and several other companies who put up satellites. And we can follow the flu season. You can follow people's digestion upsets. all with this. And this is a long keynote, but it is so integrated into itself. It was amazing to me. So my question was, I put up, who's putting these pieces together? So keynote for September 30th, 2013, colors forest green, note of F sharp. The frequency evaluate correlates that are coming to the planet, the biggest one is myosin. And myosin is a family of proteins that helps the body rebuild itself, like hair follicles and in the ear and the kidneys and actual muscles and the nose hairs, those kind of things. And along with ATP comes into play today. Myosin works closely with actin, which helps create microfilaments used to rebuild the body. There's a mold that's in the air today, cytogelastin B, and it's referred to as a mycotoxin that inhibits actin. Isn't that wild that they both come at the same time? It inhibits actin and glucose transport and supports platelet aggregation or blood clotting. It's involved in food spoilage, sorry about that, and is involved in fungal infections. Now hold that thought for a minute. Papain and bromelain are the enzymes active today. Papain helps break down meat fibers, is sold in supermarkets as a powdered meat tenderizer. It can be used as a paste for bee stings, since bee venom is made of protein and it breaks down protein. Papain is an ingredient in toothpaste, mints, and tooth whiteners, and this one was the wow for me. Papain has been known to interfere with urine drug tests for cannabis. So that's a little known fact, I think. Maybe everybody else knows it and I just don't. Bromelain is the other enzyme, and it's from fresh pineapple, and it slows blood clotting. There's blood clotting again that mold was involved with, and it's used as a tenderizer. It's a protein it's a digestion protein for digestion enzyme for protein. And it's also a potent anti-inflammatory, prevents edema. The list for bromelain is very broad. Relax your muscles, stimulate muscle contractions, slow blood clotting, improving the absorption of antibiotics, remember that old one. Prevents cancer, shortens labor, and helps the body get rid of excess fat. Now I have a question for you, Richard, about this one. Why are we warned not to eat pineapple and meat together if the pineapple helps digest?
I don't know. I think maybe that's just because the idea of pineapple pizza seems kind of, with ham, seems kind of gross to me personally. But beyond that, I don't know. I might have to throw that as soon as we bring the Carltons in, I might have to ask them that about that. In my mind, bromelain and papain would both be good with meat because they're both, the action I would term them as enzymes, as proteolytics, so they're protein digesting. Well, I can't imagine why we'd be warned about that. I can't see it as a bad combination myself.
I've never seen it either. Now, that little thing there about antibiotics, where bromelain improving the absorption of antibiotics, the bacteria in stress right now is Streptococcus aureus, and it's known to inactivate antibiotics. This is found in the human respiratory tract, especially after a hospital stay. It's responsible for skin infections, food poisoning, pneumonia, meningitis, osteomyelitis, endocarditis, toxic shock, and on and on and on. And this was a surprise to me. Each year, 500,000 people, that's like 500,000 people, contract this kind of staphylococcus infections from hospitals. The muscles that are in stress are the quadratus lumborum and the psoas, both hip to back, kind of, what do you call that, keeping everything in alignment, hip on up the back. The toxin, mercury, it's in the mouth and in vaccinations that are given our children. And when they inject it into our kids, we can't see the it being excreted by the body. But if they take out one of your fillings that have mercury in it, they have to put that in a toxic dump. Now, that doesn't seem right to me either. Vitamin stress, vitamin K, which helps with blood clotting or is involved in blood clotting. Look at how all of those are interrelated. I don't think we've ever had a keynote like that, have we?
It's always the matrix, but this one seems very, bound together. It's so interesting how I'll call this nature, because in a certain way it fits to me in that way in, overall cosmology. That how nature really does always want to try and self-balance in a certain way. And it seems like this one is very like there's this and then there's that countering that. I mean, the keynotes are always amazing and complex and mind-boggling.
Well, here's
in a good way.
Here's another piece about it. When we look at our bonus software for this month, it's about insulin resistance, and doing research on that, we have found that that's involved with blood clotting. So when they voted on what software to put up with, that they were very in tune with the universe when they put in their vote. So those softwares are available on our site, soundhealthoptions.com. They are free. The software for insulin resistance, people can check themselves. There's a little booklet there, 72-page booklet that they can use to follow along and see what should be happening. And there's also a video to teach them how to use it. Our radiation exposure software is always there. We had Parkinson's people in this week, and the majority of them had radiation poisoning, and it was strontium. And we'd asked for people from California, and there it was, strontium and cobalt. So for those of you who want to test yourself and keep testing yourself, that radiation exposure software is there 24/7. Instructions, there's a pastel folder for you to read and look at everything that you need, download everything. We think this is incredibly important. 2 years ago, I think, Richard, was it when you started helping us look at radiation for people in California?
I think so.
And
I think, yeah, that's about right for the Fukushima incident, yes.
And it
was an amazing thing to be able to have that software and use it to just check my voice on a daily basis. And back then I used the chart to take foods or nutrients as antidotes. And it was just an amazing thing to be able to have that on my computer and pull it up and run my vocal profile and see what was going on and see if I had something that needed balancing, and I'd take a micronutrient. And I mean, it was fabulous.
Well, the charts are there too for people to download. There's a couple of computer programs. So let us know how we can help you deal with that, if you can share it and teach it with other people. Okay, we've taken up our 15 minutes. Richard, let's bring on our wonderful guests.
Okay. I will, rather than do a lengthy intro, because anytime you talk about the Carlton, Myra and Jason, there's so much that you can say about them. I won't. I'll just say that I'm very excited about they have a new updated version of one of their books, Naked Calorie, and now it's in ebook form, which is stupendous, because when I talk to people, I can just say, go get that book. And I mean it now. Do it. Get it on your tablet. Do it. So, welcome, Jason and Meryl. How are you?
Oh, we're doing so well. Thank you so much for having us back.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Sherry. And what do you think about that pineapple? What do you think about that pineapple and meat thing? Can you imagine why that's a bad combination?
Well, I will tell you one bit of research. I was actually really recently asked about bromelain, and we found that it's actually quite helpful for people who might not have celiac, but might be still sensitive to the gliadin protein in wheat. So it's actually quite helpful for people who aren't full-blown celiac but do react poorly to the wheat, to the gluten and the gliadin proteins in the wheat. So that can be a very helpful thing to take prior to going out to an event, a social event, if you know that there's probably something that's going to sneak into your food. So I did just want to add that as another fantastic thing that bromelain can help with.
Yeah, I mean, bromelain is used in meat tenderizers in a powdered form. But I think the negative aspect comes in that it can actually over-tenderize the meat. It almost, if it stays down for too long, it'll start to digest. It will start to help with deteriorate the meat so much that it becomes really mushy, and so it becomes something that people don't want.
Well, we've been.
Yeah, that's a bad texture.
Yeah.
I've read places that you shouldn't mix pineapple with any kind of pork or beef, and I never understood that. So I just think that people don't know what they're talking about. And I think that's one of the things that goes along with your books. You have extensively researched every ounce of what you say in your books. Could you tell the audience a bit about how your books came about?
Well, absolutely. First, I want to let you know that the issue with the naked in the title is quite funny because actually we recovered it to not have the naked back, to have a simple picture of the two of us on the new soft cover version because we had heard that this was an issue. So unfortunately, we love the woman's back, but we've done that because we do realize that search engines can get a little crazy like that. So we have taken care of that, just to let you know about that also. And we also want to make it accessible in a soft cover for everyone to pick up. Now, we started doing this research because I was 30 years old. I lived in Manhattan. I was a publicist, and I just started feeling bad, like aches and pains and sort of low energy, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. So I didn't go to the doctor right away. I put it off, and I put it off. My back started getting even worse, and I literally ended up just back on the couch, lying down, doing my work from there, making excuses why I wasn't going to events. And I finally had to go to the doctor because I literally was not going out anymore because the pain had just gotten so bad. And when I went to see the doctor, I was 30, and he diagnosed me with advanced osteoporosis. So at 30, I had the bone density of an 80-year-old, and they basically didn't leave me much hope. They just said, you're going to get on medications for the rest of your life. You're not going to get any better, but at least it'll make it so you don't get any worse. That was my diagnosis, and that was not obviously the person that I am, and I was not going to take that as the answer to my rest of my life. So I started to look into the only other thing that they had told me, which was you need calcium for your bones. And calcium led to magnesium, and magnesium led to vitamin K, and I started to do more and more research, and I had to leave New York. I couldn't take care of myself. So I moved in with my sister in Florida, and luckily, I found a doctor of nutrition who was willing to help me. And what he found out is that it was really not, that we really had to focus on what I had been finding, which was those micronutrients, those vitamins and minerals and the essential fats, and the fact that I had become very deficient in them. We worked together for 2 years, at which point we decided that I was feeling a lot better and I wanted to test our results in a real way. So I went to the doctor and I got another DEXA scan to test my osteoporosis levels. And I am thrilled to say that I no longer had osteoporosis at that point. I still do not have osteoporosis. I think it's almost 10 years later, 8 years later, or something like that. And I don't even have osteopenia anymore. So it really, we started researching this because we had to fix me. The great news is that not only did we reverse it, but I fell in love with him and married him. So that's where Jason came into my life.
So this is a new book just coming out, or is out already, October 7th? Should be out?
Yeah, it was supposed to be released October 7th. Our publisher got it out a little early, so it's already available. They're already shipping it at Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, and it's already in the stores. We went and saw it in the store just 2 days ago now.
This is something I think is incredible about books, that your used copies are on sale for twice the price as normal. So that always tells me this is a great book.
Yeah, people are always like, well, I want to get one with your signatures in it. I'm like, well, we'll do it for free for you if we see you at any of our events, but they always want to get one of those. So I think that's why maybe those are going for more, although I can't quite figure out why that would be worth much at this point. But
yeah, the new soft covers are really gorgeous. We wanted to make it visually appealing, even more so than the last one. So we really added in a lot of great graphics because people learn in so many different ways. So it's very colorful. It's it's just kind of like a magazine layout. We're really, really thrilled it has a new look and the feel of it, and also the new information that we were allowed to give.
Well, we'll talk about that in a second. I want to tell people that are watching the show, this is Amazon you're looking at. It's the new book. And oh, somebody turned on their mic. Sorry about that. The paperback is $14.60, but the used copies are $25.50. So maybe those are the ones with the
You guys are famous.
Almost famous.
That's right.
We have several questions from the audience. What do you want the audience to know? Let's do that first.
Well, I think that, the most important thing that Naked Calories really tells the reader or delivers to the reader, and we've changed this on the cover of the book because we really didn't talk about it in the first edition, is that we've really created a simple three-step approach to kind of becoming healthy. We call it micronutrient sufficiency, and of course, the word micronutrient, your listeners are probably very, very familiar with this word, but for many Americans, it's scary. So, we always try to say it's just your vitamins, your minerals, those essential fats like the omega-3s that we hear so much about. It's really, really important that we start to bring these micronutrients into the conversation when we're talking about nutrition and health and weight loss. Because, calories are important, and they oftentimes get the limelight. We talk about carbs and we talk about fats and proteins. You can sit down with almost anybody here in America, and you can have a pretty good conversation about fats, carbs, and proteins and calories, and they're real familiar with them. But then once you start to bring up the micronutrient aspect, their eyes kind of glaze over, and they don't want to talk about it because they're not sure. But we need to understand that, like what Mira said, her advanced osteoporosis really came from being deficient in those micronutrients, not in calories overall. And the fact that so many people are now overweight and are suffering from obesity, this has been linked directly to specific micronutrient deficiencies. And so is hypertension, cancer like you talked about, blood clotting, you mentioned the vitamin K. So every single micronutrient is so essential to the body, and it's essential for us to maintain even just basic health. And it really needs to be the focus of a conversation when we're starting to think about how do we create a lifestyle where I can eventually accomplish optimal health, where I can really be, quote unquote, healthy and active and do all the things that I want to do. We need eventually to come up with a dietary philosophy, and that's all well and good. But the conversation should really start with the three simple steps that it takes to become micronutrient sufficient, and then we build a good dietary philosophy on that.
We're looking at your site, looking at these steps that you're talking about. Click here to take the free 50-question micronutrient sufficiency quiz. Can you talk about that a minute?
Absolutely. That is the best place to start because, as we say, we want everyone to feel like we're their nutrition coaches. We want to get our hands dirty with you. We want to try to make you feel better. And even if you're feeling good now, you can still feel better. You can always improve your health. So we can't tell you what to do unless we know what you're doing wrong. So you can't improve unless you know where you're falling down. So that quiz does exactly that. We look at your dietary habits. We look at how you cook your food, how you prepare your food. We look at your lifestyle habits. Do you exercise a lot? Do you get stressed out a lot? Do you drink coffee? Lots of different things throughout. And we also look at your supplementation habits. And then we basically come down and we say, you know what? This is basically a sneak peek into how sufficient, how likely it is that you're reaching your sufficiency. So we give you somewhere on the realm between sufficiency and deficiency. The great news is it's not like a hair sample where we're just giving you that day's notice. We're actually showing you what you've done wrong and what you could do right. So that's a great place to start. And the cool thing is you can take it now, make the changes that we suggest, and then take it again in a month. And you can watch yourself improve. And it doesn't cost $20,000 like the hair analysis. It's a free quiz. So we really recommend that people start there.
Well, we also see on this quiz by question number 13 or so, multivitamins, reinvented nutrients. We have a couple of questions from our audience about that. So
Great.
You want to explain those first?
Sure. So, we're so proud of nutrients. It really it came out of nowhere, really. I mean, it started off with Mira having once we finally realized that Mira's advanced osteoporosis really came from these micronutrient deficiencies, and we knew that we had to find a way for her body to absorb the calcium and the magnesium and the K and the boron that her body needed. And at that time, I was starting to see things in the medical literature about something called micronutrient interaction or competition. And what happens sometimes is that the vitamins and the minerals, they can compete with each other for absorption in the receptor site in your digestive tract. So if you take two of them together that are competitive, one will be absorbed at the expense of the other. And this is what happens so often when we're dealing with a multivitamin, where we're putting in 12, 15, 20, 30 different micronutrients into one formulation. We're kind of jamming them all in there without any real thought process to which ones are competing. So that was our big thing. That took us years and years to look at the medical literature, to really map out the micronutrient competitions that were known, science has, they know. We mapped those out, and we created nutrients out of it, a powdered multivitamin that has an AM and a PM formulation that are completely different. So we basically eliminated the micronutrient competitions. It's like two kids who are fighting in the back seat of the car. You can turn around and say, stop it as many times as you want, but until you take one and put them in that one room and another and put them in another room, there's no guarantee that the fighting will stop. And so that's kind of how we felt about the multivitamin. We didn't want to just put a coating on it or a time release on it where you have a chance that certain micronutrients aren't going to be digested with others. We wanted to separate it completely, and we wanted to make it easy to take. So it's a powder. You just put it into water, stir, and drink. And we are so happy to announce that we just got our U.S. patent and our European Union patent on nutrients as the only multivitamin really formulated to increase absorption and utilization.
Okay, 3 questions about this. One lady asks, is there any danger in taking or switching these AM to PM? She'd accidentally done it and didn't know how to get back on track, so she's asking, should she take both of them at once? And your answer to that is going to be no, from what you just said.
Right. We don't want her to take them both at the same time, obviously, for what the reasons Jason stated. However, this is a problem we hear sometimes, that people are forgetting to take the PM before bed. So I'm gonna put it into that answer, because that happens a lot. So people don't know what to do. Do they take another AM? Do they take another PM? How do they get back on track? Here's the deal. You don't have to wait until right before bed to take your PM. If you're forgetting to take it, move it to mid-afternoon. Move it to a time. Make it part of your regular daily schedule. Maybe 2 hours after lunch when you eat a snack, or maybe when you come home from work at 5 o'clock. Try to choose a time that you're going to remember to take it. It doesn't have to be right before bed. 5 hours separated from your AM dose should be fine.
Yeah, and there's no harm in taking the PM in the morning and the AM at night. There's nothing in the PM or in the AM that are going to be, that need to be taken during those times. We did formulate the PM to include the magnesium, and anybody who knows about the product Natural Calm, they know that magnesium is just one of those micronutrients that really helps you to relax and put you in a good environment for sleeping. So that is why we did it, but it certainly won't put you to sleep. So if you switched them up, it's okay. Try to get back on track over time, because that magnesium probably will be best served in the evening time.
These are people who sent in questions that didn't get answered last time you were on, and now they've asked some more questions. Here's one that I thought was incredibly interesting. Don't have the slightest idea how to answer it. I'm taking the nutrients now, and I have much more energy, but I ran out and didn't have any for 3 days, and I plummeted to the depths of the energy pit. What should I have done?
Order early. Really, it's crazy. I mean, we get that actually quite a bit. We actually get people who have called us and said, I don't care what it costs to overnight it to Canada. I need it. And it wasn't meant to be something that hooks you. There's nothing addictive in it. There's nothing that in any way is not just the essential vitamins and minerals. So it's not, it's not because of that. It's just because you got the chance to see how your body's supposed to run. Your body's supposed to feel that energy. And it's become very noticeable when you forget. So honestly, what I would say is try to order the 3-box set or the 6-box set, just to make sure that you have it at the house and that doesn't happen. And if you do, run out, do what everybody else does, which is call us. Make sure we send it out ASAP.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that people listening realize we're not talking about energy like you get from like an energy shot or one of those energy drinks for a 5-hour type, liquid thing. This is energy. This is a natural energy that comes from your vitamins and minerals being able to derive the calories and the natural energy from your food efficiently.
Well, she wrote us quite a long email about this. I sort of put it in little short snippet there, but one of her concerns was, she said, since I ran out of these and it was so detrimental, is there something going on that I should have checked? Should I double up and take 2 packets because I ran out? She wanted to know.
We don't want you to take 2 packets. Now, one of the things that, Nutrients is formulated, we do not use Megadose. So that Megadose multivitamins are, kind of rampant in the marketplace. And the reason why they do that is because the formulators know that competition takes place, so they keep throwing more and more and more in the hopes that eventually some of it will get through that competitive kind of cobweb that takes place in the typical multivitamin. But we only give you what's called the RDI of the amount of micronutrients that you need. But we also include things like 600 milligrams of calcium. Well, that's the maximum amount your body can absorb at any one time. So taking 2 of those, you're just going to waste it. Also, we give you the full 400 milligrams of magnesium. That's full dose. Some people's body don't do very well when they double up on magnesium. They can get a loose stool real quick, so you don't want to do that necessarily. I don't think doubling up is the right answer. I think what it really comes down to is, and what she's realizing is that her food and her diet and her lifestyle, just are doing what everybody's do to them, which makes it so that they can't get all of those essential micronutrients that they need to feel the way that they should be feeling. And there's nothing wrong with that. We all go through that. Some of us more than others. You always find people who are so tired they can't get anything done. And the major reason is why is because their body isn't able to absorb those micronutrients. They're imperative. We can't overstate that enough.
I think
it also has to do a lot with the toxins that are building up with the body, and I like that you brought that up earlier, because we can tell you that to make sure that you're eating the highest quality of food, but just make sure that that food also isn't delivering a whole lot of toxins into your body. So, for example, an apple is great, and apple is a real food, and people say just eat real food. But it's not just about eating real food. You need rich food. You need food that's going to be highest in micronutrients, like local, organic, but you also need to make sure that it's not carrying all those pesticides on it. Because the only way for your body to detoxify is to use those same micronutrients that it needs to run all of its other functions. So a lot of the times we just want to remind people that it's these same vitamins and minerals that your body really requires to do this whole detox is so important.
I think she was concerned that just being off of this for a short time, there might be something else wrong with her, that the nutrients were masking. But is that a question? Is it answerable?
Well, to me, when I look at micronutrients, the way I kind of look at it is, if you're deficient in one of them, you're going to get an effect. So her effect is low energy, really low energy, down to the depth of low energy. So something about her diet, something about her digestion, something about either the toxic load that she has is obviously somehow stopping her body from being able to get enough of the micronutrients so she doesn't feel this. She definitely would want to examine her diet as a whole here. You don't want to just use nutrients as a crutch. But the great thing is she can use nutrients to fill in the gap. And then that's really where that, like you said, that quiz comes in. We're going to evaluate what it is that she's eating. I mean, that's what we wrote our other book, Rich Food, Poor Food, for, is to show you how to shop safely and smart in the grocery store. And it's not just about eating food, is about eating rich foods. And we go over so much great information. I think that she would do very well by starting with that book and cleaning up her diet and really evaluating her lifestyle. And then, try and get off again nutrients for a day or two down the road after she's changed that and see if she feels that same effect. She's probably going to feel some effect, but she shouldn't feel such a huge effect if she cleans up her diet.
Question from our audience. What's the difference in the flavored and the natural nutrients?
Well, the flavored is flavored with stevia and natural fruit flavors. So in the Nutrients Original, the morning is a citrus splash and the evening is a tropical twist. Now, we had some purists out there, or people who just don't like stevia. And they said, basically, can you make it without? We said, okay, we can do that. And we have some people that don't like to drink 16 ounces of water. The original mixes the 16 ounces of water, which is really a nice hydration. Now, the natural, on the other hand, only needs about 4 to 6 ounces, and it has no flavor at all and no stevia at all. So it's just the essential micronutrients themselves. And that one, a lot of people like putting in, we have stevia crystals on our website and stevia drops. Sometimes people just like putting in a drop or two or mixing it with diluted juice, just a little bit to give it a little bit of flavor. So it's really a personal choice. We do recommend that people, and you know what we can do, Jason? I think if people email us at media, MEDIA, at Calton Nutrition, CALTON nutrition.com, and ask for a sample, tell us which kind of sample you want, send us your address, and we'll be happy to send the samples out. That way, if someone does have a question about which one they like better, they can test them first.
That's great. Can somebody put that in? Another question that came up. Since I live in Canada and we have freezing winters, will your multivitamins product be negatively affected in transport by freezing temperatures?
Well, we send everything priority mail, and it's all sealed so that there's really, I don't think it would have any real problem with a short period of time. Yeah, maybe for a long period of time in a freezing cold environment, but we ship to Canada and all over the world, and we haven't had any problems with that. And the manufacturer that we use to manufacture this tests it in very hot weather as well as in very cold weather. So we've got a 2-year life expectancy on the nutrients packet based on those testings as well.
Okay, one more nutrients question, then we got some other questions coming in from different directions. Are you ever going to make a pill form?
No, that's kind of the whole idea. The powder, number one, if we were to make it into pills, you'd have to be taking handfuls of pills again, and the 40% of the population doesn't like that. Plus, you've got the disintegration problem of how do you get a capsule that will 100% disintegrate in every internal, gastrointestinal environment. Certain people have more acid and less acid. So it's really just much easier for us. We can continue to add products and really reinvent the formulation itself when it's in a powder form. We don't have to worry about how much powder we're giving you because it all goes in the same amount of water. And it just gets rid of that whole disintegration process. So that's kind of one of the big things that we like about nutrients is that it's always going to be in powder form.
We do, however, have new flavors coming out. If maybe they just didn't like one of the flavors, we'll have new flavors coming out at the beginning of next year, maybe towards Christmas even. So we're very excited about that as well. It looks like at this point we're going to have another set of fruit flavors, which I think are going to be, at this point, lime and strawberry. And then we're also going to do chocolate and vanilla because there's nobody out there that doesn't like chocolate and vanilla.
We're looking at your product page, and I have my favorite pages, but I bet this is Richard's. Richard, do you see this treadmill work desk with Bluetooth? He loves stand-up work desk.
I love that idea. I'm a big fan of, I have a standing workstation, but I don't have the treadmill. And so I love the standing. It works so much easier on my body. I have a lot less lower back issues. So I stand all day long at the computer, and it's just really great. I haven't quite migrated to walking at the computer at the same time, but it's very appealing. I like it.
Yeah, this was a holiday gift to ourselves last year. We had heard about it. We saw it on the media like so many people have, and we thought, my goodness, I mean, as writers, we spend just from the morning to night sitting behind, while we're writing our book, just sitting, and we thought to ourselves, we've got to do something. We've got to do something to get up. We thought about standing, but the treadmill desks have just become so convenient for us. We'll walk for maybe an hour or two. We find that we can write just as well as we're walking on the treadmill, and you're only walking at about 1.5 miles an hour. Now, you could go up to 4 miles an hour. The treadmills do go up to that amount. But we found that about 1.5 is an easy walk for us. We can work just the same as we would be if we're sitting down. After about 2 to 3 hours, you start feeling it, but then we have our balls, our exercise balls now for chairs rather than regular chairs, and we just go back and forth. I can't say enough good things about them. And new medical science is really starting to show. We have a good friend. We're going to be starting a new campaign showing that sitting is like the new smoking. There's so many negative effects to sitting all the time. If you can do a standing station, or if you can afford to do a treadmill desk, really think about it. It's been a big improvement in our offices.
I read an article that it really improves the circulation of your kidneys and your adrenals to work like this.
Absolutely. We're going to be working with him some more, our colleagues. But the studies are amazing. And now it actually keeps your brain functioning at a higher level when you're working at the desk. And they're actually putting miniature versions of them in anesthesiologists to where when they're doing surgeries, because a lot of times they need to keep the brain focused when they're not necessarily doing anything. And they've studied it. It actually keeps you very, very focused on the task at hand. So we love them. We recommend it for everybody. The weight loss aspect is phenomenal. You don't know you're working out, but and you're basically getting your workout while you're doing your work. For offices, if anyone owns an office, I highly recommend getting one that people can all use off and on during the day to bring their work over there and use it for a couple hours. It will make your employees thinner, happier, less stressed, less sick. And we just can't say enough great things about them. I love them. We actually sell them on our website, like you said, and we give you free nutrients to go along with it and shipping. So there's a really good savings involved, and they're so fantastic. Richard, you got to get one. You're halfway there.
I've been standing, at a workstation now for a little over a year, and I was a standing kind of guy anyway, except I had been sitting at the computer just like ridiculous, as you well know, for ridiculous amounts of hours every day. And then once I started standing, I just felt much better. I just like the way it feels. I can't say I'm more productive, but I mean, right now while I'm doing this, I'm standing in front of my station, talking into a microphone. I could be walking casually while I was doing it. I love that idea.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, like Mira said with the weight loss, if you walk just the 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours at night, you don't have to exercise anymore. The nice thing is when we will leave work, we used to have to go, out and we had to go to the gym, and we still go to the gym a couple days a week for our weight training exercises, and I don't have to do the cardio anymore. It's done in the work time, which means more time for family, more time for relaxation. It's just great all the way around.
Yeah, when we traveled around the world, and maybe some of you listening might know this, for 7 years we traveled around the world to 135 different countries and all 7 continents studying dietary and lifestyle habits. And one thing they never did is sit down and work all day. We didn't go to one healthy country or a healthy place that was doing that. The tribes literally are trudging all day long, going to get the fish, going to get the wood, an average of 9 miles a day. So basically when we started looking at it, we were like, wait a minute, I'm certainly not doing 9 miles slow a day. I'm not putting the stress on my knees going for a jog anymore. I can just basically trudge the way people used to trudge in primitive times. So it's just such a healthy workout.
Richard, did you have an adrenal question?
I did have a question, and I heard the word adrenal in there, which is always like the old Dr. Mark thing for me. When I hear the word adrenal, something always happens. Do you guys have a particular protocol for helping people with burned out adrenals, since I, as a practitioner, see that so much where it's either a factor or a primary factor on why people are fatigued, why they're drinking, guarana based or, some sort of stimulant drink is that's the only thing that they've figured out to help drag themselves up. And do you have a particular protocol? I mean, I understand that you're, eat real food.
Yeah, it's also going to come down to the micronutrients again. I mean, people say vitamin C. There's a whole bunch of things, but basically, rather than pinpoint, I mean, we've read a lot of people. Diane Sanfilippo is one of our very good friends, and she talks about it all the time in her book, Practical Paleo. It's a fantastic book. But our whole thing is basically we just don't really like a protocol simply on micronutrients that would pinpoint some and leave others not being taken. Again, because that micronutrient competition, if you start to do that and take a certain amount of a specific micronutrient, you're going to start blocking the other one if you're not taking it. So for that's all that we don't like seeing that in our class. A lot of it is reducing the stress, getting the sleep, and there's some great herbs out there. also that can be taken that don't have the micronutrient competitions as well.
Can you tell us what those are?
Sure. Actually, I'm going to pull up what I have down here that.
You mean things like ashwagandha or?
Ashwagandha is the one that we just wrote about it. Ashwagandha for adrenal fatigue, especially for women around holiday time because we tend to be such givers. Not that you men aren't, but because a lot of it does fall on the wife's head a lot of the time with the kids and the preparation of food and everything. You see a lot of holiday adrenal fatigue. So that's one of the ones that, we mentioned in that article. We just wrote an article for Women on adrenal fatigue. We now have a column, if anyone wants to check us out on a monthly or 3-week basis, we now have our own column in First for Women magazine, where people are writing in and asking us very specific questions, and we do 3 of them every single issue. It's called Worries Solved. And we just took that over from one of our absolute heroes, Ann Louise Gittleman, and they gave it to us. So we're very happy about it. Yeah, it's very exciting. And then every single week, they can come to our website and read the blog, and we answer it more fully because they don't give you a lot of space in magazines to answer questions. So every single Monday, we have our Worries Solved video answers. So the people can tune into the blog and get a memo on when they come out. They can come here every single Monday and read the Worries Solved, or they can sign up right online to receive all of our blogs via an email reminder every single week.
Yeah, and if the listeners would like to know some specific micronutrients they can look to, again, we don't want to start mega-dosing these or just using these in place of, but this is a good place to start to see if you may be deficient in these when you're dealing with adrenal or chronic fatigue. We're looking at vitamin B1, B2, B3, B5, B6, B7, right? So we're getting a kind of a theme here. All the B's, B9, B12, vitamin C, iodine, iron, and magnesium.
Is this a type of thing that's in the update that wasn't in the original Naked Calories?
Do you mean the specific micronutrients?
Well, the question came from the audience here, so I was just going to try to put them together. And those people who have bought the Naked Calories books, what is included in the new revised edition that's not in the original?
Good question. So the revision of the new Naked Calories softcover is mostly an updated visual look, right? So we wanted to make it look like our book, Rich Food, Poor Food, so full color, high gloss. But we did add some new research into it. One of the big questions we've been getting as we've been traveling and lecturing across the country is, hey, I'm following a paleo or a primal style diet, and I'm eating, much more like or an ancestral style diet. What about us? Are we getting all the vitamins and minerals that we need in from our food? Because in our original book, we had taken a look at 4 popular diet plans: the Best Life diet, the DASH diet, the Atkins diet, and the South Beach diet. And we had really taken a look and said, if we followed these exactly to the T as they suggest in their respective texts, would we get enough of the vitamins and minerals we need for basic health? And that research showed that on average, it was deficient in providing those essential vitamins and minerals. So that new research is in the book for the paleo primal diet. So we really looked and evaluated those. We used Diane Sanfilippo's Practical Paleo, and we used Mark Sisson's The Primal Blueprint as our diet, and we evaluated that. And we also talked a little bit more about nutrients. If you notice in the first book, we never mentioned nutrients, the product itself. A lot of people wrote us and said, I didn't know what to look for. Why didn't you just direct us to it? We didn't want the book to be a sales tool. It's still not a sales tool, but we do talk a little bit about it, and we direct people who are looking for a good multivitamin in that direction. So that's included as well. And we talk a little bit more about why we invented that product.
We also go a little deeper in each of the chapters about how they are the simple 3-step plan. We say exactly like, this is step 1, eat rich food. And then we tell you how I wasn't eating rich food and exactly what things I was doing that gave me the osteoporosis in this specific step. Then we go to step 2, which is drive down your depletion. We do the same thing in step 3, proper supplementation. So we really organize this a little bit more tight, just to make sure people really understood that this is a plan. It wasn't just information that we want you to look and read and get great ideas from. We actually want you to do what we're telling you to do. People wrote us and said, oh, there's so much information that thanks. Now what should I do? And I was like, well, did we not tell you? Obviously we weren't specific enough. So that's one of the reasons we rewrote it, because we really want people to take the steps, take the advice we're giving you, and we want you to, make the changes that we suggest.
I'm going to jump back a little bit to rich food, poor food, because we have a couple of questions coming in. And they say we may be opening a political Pandora's box here, but they took courses in dietetics in the 80s, and it said we shouldn't need any other nutrients. It should all be in our food. So what's the matter with that thinking?
Well, that's kind of what we call one of those dietary myths. We've all been kind of programmed to believe that if we somehow created the right ratio of foods, and we created a healthy, natural diet, that as long as we eat whole foods and get enough calories in, we would be able to get everything we need from our food. But it's funny because talking about the dietitians, the American Dietetic Association did a study, and they asked the dietitians to go out, and they said, please try to put together a diet that provides between 2,200 and 2,400 calories that people could actually eat, and see if you could create a diet that would create sufficiency in those essential micronutrients. And they couldn't do it. This was published in the Journal of the American Dietetic Association, and it was titled Problems Encountered in Meeting the Recommended Daily Allowance for Menus Designed According to the Dietary Guidelines for Americans. So people could look it up themselves, and they were not able to do it. Researchers found that only 11% of the menus were able to reach the RDA for zinc. Half the menus did not meet the RDA for vitamin B6. 1/3 couldn't meet it for iron. And so what we realize is nobody can do it. Nobody has ever done it. Nobody will ever be able to say, hey, here's a study that shows that if you eat a regular food, a regular program within a certain calorie parameter, you can reach essential micronutrient sufficiency within these 27 essential micronutrients. No one's ever done it. Does it mean that it was never possible? Absolutely not. I think it was very possible in our past. But because of the fact that, global distribution of food and our soil depletion and all of the lifestyle health factors that are now in place, I think it would be nearly impossible to do so in our modern day and age, living as most of us do.
This lady has chatted back while you were talking. She said, the Cautlands make so much sense, I'm going to go ask for my money back. And I think she means from the school that taught her totally wrong thing.
Yeah, it was crazy. We're finding out so much of what is being taught, and and not just to dietitians, but in so many nutrition schools across America. If we look at what they've been teaching, to eat more wheat bread. But we're now finding out that the more, that turns into sugar in your body and is causing insulin resistance and is causing diabetes. We're really finding out, they also used to say saturated fat was the devil. Saturated fat is now being proven not to be the devil. It's being proven cholesterol is healthy. So a lot of you just have to stay current. You have to keep reading. You have to find people that have a lot of proof on their side, that are doing the studies. And anyone who's read Naked Calories knows that the last, 30 pages or something insane like that are just the studies. Literally, it's just the references in teeny little print of all the studies in the book, because we're not claiming to have figured all of this out. We're claiming that we did enough research to put the facts together in a way that you can understand them.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I think it was a great point that Mira made. I'm not pointing fingers negatively at RDs or any one group. We've all made mistakes in the past when we've been talking about nutrition, but we're at a tipping point here in America and throughout the world where we're starting to realize that those mistakes were made, and let's move past it with the new information that we now have.
Richard has another question here.
I have a question. We're talking a lot about, and I understand the micronutrients. What are some of the things that reduce? What is depleting? Beside our food sources, what is depleting our micronutrients? If we do eat, good food, and if we do use a vitamin AM, PM packet morning and evening and, really help nutrify ourselves, what are some of the other things that are, I'll say, stripping away, for lack of a better term, taking away our micronutrients?
Well, that's what everyone understands now, the plus part of the equation. I'm taking a supplement, plus, a good thing for me. This is the minuses, and we call them everyday micronutrient depleters. And they're these stealth little thieves that come throughout your day and slowly rob you of your vitamins and minerals. And it's things like stress. When your body becomes stressed or frightened, it uses up very specific micronutrients. It uses up the water-soluble micronutrients, like the B vitamins, but it uses up a ton of vitamin C, and all of the minerals are excreted at a faster rate during periods of stress. Now, we're not saying you can get rid of stress, but trying to minimize that stress, maybe through meditation or exercise. That's really going to help. Additionally, smoking, which we all know is bad for you. But there's things that, we think of, aren't so awful, maybe like sugar. Sugar is a huge everyday micronutrient depleter. It actually blocks the absorption of calcium, magnesium, and vitamin C. So after the holidays, you'll see a lot of people getting sick, and that's because all of the sugar that people ate, actually the sugar going in blocks your vitamin C. The vitamin C is needed for your immune system, and that's why people get sick around, right after the holidays a lot. It's also why people have a lot of cravings and overeat, and that's that sugar actually causes the depletion of calcium and magnesium. And guess what happens when your calcium and your magnesium levels are low? You get sugar cravings. So it's like this horrible dog chasing its tail, that when you become sufficient and you get rid of some of these EMDs or everyday micronutrient depleters, you can really see a lot of great benefits.
Some other lifestyle habits that deplete micronutrients throughout the day. And again, we're not saying to get rid of these. Understand that this is really for awareness. Each person has to evaluate how many of these lifestyle factors are occurring in their lives. We urge you to drive down the depletion of the ones that you can, but it's much more about awareness. You got prescription and over-the-counter medication. I mean, I'm sure you guys have discussed this in the past. I mean, almost every single medication works to deplete or block the absorption of certain micronutrients. And this can happen with over-the-counter medications too. So aspirin blocks the absorption of things like folic acid, vitamin C, iron, potassium, and zinc. Tylenol can block the absorption of CoQ10. So these are things. We're also looking at pollution in big cities, toxic chemicals. So we're always being bombarded from certain toxins. And like Mira touched on earlier, a lot of times we don't realize that our micronutrients are the detoxifiers of the body. It's those micronutrients that help you to detoxify things like lead, and arsenic, and mercury. Lots of people are afraid of mercury in their fish, but they don't realize that if you're sufficient in your selenium, your vitamin C, and your vitamin E, those are the micronutrients that specifically detoxify and shuttle out that mercury. Exercise. We just talked about the treadmill desk. Exercise is great. We're advocates of it. But remember, you're going to utilize more of your vitamins and minerals during that process. Those electrolytes, those are also micronutrients. So there's all kinds of lifestyle choices that we're making daily that can deplete.
And I think GMO foods are a big one on that. Maybe you don't want to mention that. But reading the patent, they've taken taurine and glutathione out of those products. So we're already, to me, a natural product will digest itself. So they're taking out the pieces that make this a whole food when they're doing GMO wheat. So.
Yeah, it's GMOs, we could have an entire show on our distaste for GMOs. We actually just spent some time with Jeffrey Smith, and he's a dear friend of ours, and he was talking about the latest research in GMOs, and it is just, it is horrible what they've done to our food system. And if we, like Jason said, this is the tipping point, people. We are right now, you can leave it on. There are other options in every single food now that are non-GMO. Pretty much you can go to any store and find a better option that is not GMO. It's about learning how to buy, reading ingredients, and understanding what foods are genetically modified. And if we just stop purchasing them, they will stop making them, because this is America, and it's all about the greed.
Yes, Richard.
Terry, I'm so glad that you brought that up for the listeners. If they want to stop having GMOs in their cart right now before labeling is really going to go into effect, like Whole Foods by 2018, They can pick up a copy of Rich Food, Poor Food. We have evaluated all the foods in the aisles. We show you not only which foods are currently being genetically modified, but which of the food's derivatives are. Like if you notice on the box of nutrients, we say non-GMO citric acid. You might think citric acid, that comes from citrus. Not anymore. There's almost no citric acid coming from citrus. It's coming from corn. And if that corn is genetically modified, it's these type of derivatives that we have to worry about. And that book, Rich Food, Poor Food, will take you through the grocery store and allow you to be able to steer away from GMOs right now today.
I love all the easy-to-read charts in your books, too. I mean, you just put it out there in very plain language that people can stick on their fridge and don't do this. That's great.
Yeah, and we've got these great tote bags that are so super cool. I love them, and I love the fact that people are sending us pictures of themselves shopping with them. But in the Rich Food Resource Center online, not only do we have coupons for the Rich Food, we actually went to the manufacturers and said, sometimes it can get a little expensive to buy the healthier option. Will you give us coupons? They said yes. So there's tons of free coupons. It's a free site. Go there, grab coupons. We also have these tote bags, and they have the rules right on them. So when you're going grocery shopping, if you're wondering what ingredients have been genetically modified, you read your own bag. And we're sending these out for nothing more than the shipping cost. We have worked with great manufacturers to bring the cost of these down. They sponsor them, so it's just a $2.95 shipping to get these out to people, and they're great. They have the Fab 14 and Terrible 20, which produce you have to buy organic and which ones you can buy regular. All the information is right on the bag, and we'd love to get them out to people to use.
Where is that on your site so we can show people?
So if they go to the main page of Colton Nutrition, they'll scroll down and they'll see where it says Rich Food Resource Center. It's the second one down under the Arctic Apple, and they can just click there, and they'll be able to go right into the Rich Food Resource Center, and it's all in there.
Okay, I'm not finding it. I'm on your store.
So click on the Colton Nutrition, click the logo, and go to the home page.
Okay, got that.
So that's coltonnutrition.com, and just
Apple.
scroll down, and you see where it says Arctic Apple?
Yes.
And then right below it, it says the Rich Food Resource Center.
All right, this is great. Richard has one last question, and I have one last question.
Perfect.
Richard?
So this is a whole other show, but I can't help myself. You guys eat wheat?
No. No.
Okay.
We
Thank
don't.
you very much for that great audience.
No, we don't. I definitely am gluten sensitive. I've been tested for celiac. I do not have celiac, but I know if I've been glutened at a party. I mean, I can tell. I mean, if I eat a piece of pizza, I feel like it is going to rise up in my stomach and fill my throat. I mean, I am that sensitive to it. So that is my reasoning. I also, because of all the studies we have done on wheat, and we're very good friends with Dr. Davis of Wheat Belly, we don't want the gliadin protein, the amylopectin A, the gluten. There's so many reasons that we don't like wheat, that we steer clear. The cool thing is, you don't need wheat. You really don't. There's nothing that I can't make without it. I've never had a problem making pizza dough. I have pasta. We have breads that we list in the book, cereals. Really, and once people get off it and they see that they feel so much better and so much lighter and so much more alive, and their heart disease goes away and their weight starts dropping off, they really start seeing that it's just so easy to live without it. And that's one of the reasons every single food in Rich Food, Poor Food is wheat-free. And we didn't have a hard time finding anything in any single aisle. They're great sideways swaps.
The last question I have is for people who are asking, do you train people, professionals, to use your information?
Well, we absolutely do. So again, you see there on that main page, if you scroll all the way down, we have created a professional certificate program called the Certified Micronutrient Specialist. And it is for professionals only, so you do have to either have a degree in or be certified in some way in the nutrition, medical, or fitness field. But it's a great program where people can come. Naked Calories is one of the textbooks for it, but we also have another textbook designated specifically for the Certified Micronutrient Specialist. And they can study. It goes in depth into every single one of the micronutrients. exactly how much of it you need, the history behind it, what they compete with, what they're synergistic with. So we'll really give you all the information so that you can work with your clients and your patients and people in your lives that you want to work with to help them to understand micronutrients and to get them to be sufficient. And that program is online as well, so they can take the test right online. It is a study at your own pace program. So anybody interested in that, they can look on the website, and you have to send them more information.
We're looking, and it says right at the bottom, yes, I'm interested in learning more. And I think people should pay attention to your blog up at the top of each of your pages, Optimal Life blog. They can log in and learn lots more, because I suspect we've only skimmed the surface here.
We have, and if you see that if people do click to the blog, you'll see that today's blog, we're inviting people to come to our free live Google Hangout. We're going to explore some simple secrets of optimal nutrition, and we're going to be doing that. Let's see, what date is that on? Yep, I think that's going to be on the 2nd. Oh, I don't know that we put the date on there.
And what is your Google Hangout name?
The Google Hangout.
I'm certified nutritionist, Mira Health. I can hear myself on somebody.
Wait a minute, what did I do? Did I click something? I think I clicked something on your site that started a video.
Must be something on the blog. So what is the name of your Google, and what is your page name on Google Hangout?
Basically, if they go and they click on the new page, you have to sign up to attend. If you're on the blog page and you click in, and you have to basically click the part that says click here to claim your spot, it will send you the link to come on Wednesday. Wednesday the 2nd at 4 p.m. Wednesday, October 2nd, 4 p.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern.
I'm trying to get there, but I'm afraid I'm going to get the video again. Okay, I'm on Optimal Life blog.
It's the first one. Click on the first one.
I'm certified nutritionist, Mira Health.
See, there
she is. Okay.
I'm trying. But
it's okay. I can, if you hit on, well, I can tell you the thing is basically callnutrition.com/article.aspx ? TID = 148. So you can also just click the top blog to get you there.
And this is so important. I hope people pursue this and do better than I did in trying to get to where I'm going.
Yeah, normally you can just click through that. I understand. It goes the latest video always starts playing so that people can see that they're videos.
Okay, this is such a beautiful website too, and so easy to use.
Thank you, but I think you'll be excited to know that we are redoing it because we're always upgrading. We're always trying to upgrade, and what we've done is we've actually made it very hands-on where we become almost like your nutrition coaches. So in the new one, which they'll start seeing in 2-3 weeks, they will notice that we are talking to you on every single page and showing you how to use the website and where to get the information there that you're looking for. We actually hold your hand through almost the entire thing in video.
That's really wonderful because you have so much. One of the tricks about your website is there's so much information here that I can get completely lost looking for what I'm looking for because I go someplace and then I start reading that whole section.
Right.
And I forget why was I here in the first place. But this is really great information. I love the information here. And
so what we did was just streamlining it for people so they don't get lost. We actually decided that IKEA had the right idea. Get people into the store and then show them a direction and a path at which they could create their better health. So the new website's actually going to do that. We're going to start with you at point 1 once you get on there, and then we're just going to basically walk you through all the things you need to know to improve your health.
Wonderful. And because I see we're at the end of our time together, which is always goes so fast with you guys, is where would you like people to go to get your book, The Newest Naked Calorie?
Amazon.com. And look for the soft cover. It's bright blue, and it's got our funny-looking faces right on the cover.
And there is an ebook version of it available as well. Is that correct?
There is an ebook. I think there's the ebook of the hardcover. I'm not sure if the ebook of the soft cover is created yet, to be honest. But
Okay. Soon would be good. I love ebooks. And where do people go? How do people communicate with you? Just go to your website and click around to find contact, or get on your blog?
Actually, it's right in the top navigation bar. You'll see Contact Us. They come directly to us, and we do answer them all. So shoot it over. It might take us a day or two. We travel a lot. But if you do that, we will get back to you with questions. Also, you can write into the First for Women in the Worry Solve column and ask us questions there, and we're happy to answer.
Wonderful, wonderful. It's always great talking to you guys, and I am going to talk to you about the possibility of coming back and doing a show just about GMOs. I think that would be, in my world, that would be big fun to talk about just GMOs and the impact on health, or the potential impact, I'll call it.
Love that. We would absolutely love it. I think more and more people, they need to become aware of just how prevalent these are, and importantly, what we can do to avoid them. You know, now that we've been awakened to these GMOs that have kind of been hiding, you know, in our food for the last however many years, now what do we do about them? How do we avoid them? And so, and really, how do we exactly what's wrong with these GMOs so we can talk to our family members about it too? So we'll get some tips on that.
That would be great, because I can't talk to my family members about it. I'll let you do it. Perfect.
And you can talk to our family members.
Yeah. There's family never
happy to. We could just conference. That's the purpose to me of a hangout, is where we all get together and talk to people and they kind of listen to us in some way.
Exactly.
You know, especially family members. The hardest thing to talk to is a family member. It's just amazing.
It's so true.
For those of you who love the show, please repost this. It will be up on Blog Talk within 20 minutes or so, and we will have it on our site on Sound Health Options by probably Monday afternoon, so they can watch.
And it's also available, of course, in iTunes and also on my favorite podcasting forum called Stitcher, which is a cross-platform app for listening to everything. So to be there probably in the next hour or so.
We will definitely
be
you.
Wonderful, as always. Thank you guys so much for the great work you do.
We can't thank you guys enough for having us on, and we can't wait to come back and talk about GMOs again.
Thank you guys both so much.
I'll be emailing you right after the show to talk about GMOs.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you very much. Thanks, Sherry. Everybody have a great weekend.
Thank you, Sherry. Thanks, Richard.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
For those of you on WebEx, remember that you can go to the chat, do Control-A, and then Control-C, grab all that good information, run over and grab a Microsoft Word and put it in there. And then we've got a whole chat, especially Steve's chats. People are looking forward to all the time and telling us, and Irina and her chats. I don't think she's with us today, but she's an incredible naturopath from Germany. So we'll see you next time, hopefully on Tuesday. I don't remember what we're doing. Oh, we're doing anti-aging on happy hour. So see you there.